This episode is brought to you by the shows of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com. Whether it's true crime or film reviews, even TV series deep dives, the You Run Podcast Network has you covered. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com today. As everyone knows, we start this show with a quote.
Yep.
Go ahead and scream, or I'll make you scream.
Nope, it's not fun. Like, I'm already at the point where I'm like, I kind of wish we didn't get this case. And as much as I love true crime, I'm like, these fuckers don't deserve any kind of recognition. None of them do. But like, this is pretty heinous. This is a really chilling case.
Yeah, this one's going to be really, really rough. Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast True Crime. My name is Scott.
And I'm Heather.
We are your hosts of a very opinionated and very unconventional true crime podcast. If you like your true crime a little bit more interactive and a little bit more discussional, as opposed to someone telling you a story with some music over the back, then this is the show for you. There are lots of ways you can get involved in the show. You can send us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us an audio DM on X or Instagram, and we'll play those on the air. And we got one today. We'll play that in a minute. Before we play that, make sure you leave us a review. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, it takes 2 seconds to click 5 stars. And if you're on Apple, write something nice and we'll read it on the air. Also, if you're watching on Rumble, the exclusive video home of true crime, make sure you follow, click like, say something in the comments. Do you want to hear the message? It's been a while since we've had a message.
Yeah, we haven't had a message in a hot minute. Let's listen to it.
Okay.
Hey, Scott, it's Mary. Just wanted to send you an audio DM for the True Crime Show. I noticed you guys have not been getting a lot, so let me be the first. The show is amazing. That 4-part series of Joe Exotic was fucking wild. I can't even believe that you got an interview with him. I hope you got a lot of messages about that. I just listened to the Black Dahlia episode yesterday, and the funny part, I don't know if this is funny or just I'm psychotic, but as I was leaving to go for a run, my kids were crying, and I said, Mommy needs her alone time. So my definition of mommy alone time is going for a run and listening to your true crime show. So yeah, that relieves my stress. Anyways, I love the show. Keep it up, guys. And I hope you all have a good day, and I can't wait for the next episode.
Look, to Mary, love you so much.
Thank you, Mary. And you're not the only one who can't believe we got an interview with Joe Exotic. We still can't believe it either.
and she's not the only mom or person who like listens to true crime or watches true crime to relax or watches horror movies to relax. You're not weird. We're out here, people. We're here and we're proud, right? Like we do it. I do the same thing. Like I listen to scary shit all the time. There we go.
Yeah. Which leads nicely into saying we talk about this every now and then. It was a big thing at the beginning, but as we've gone on, not so much now. Yeah. I don't like true crime. I hate it. It affects me in a very real way that it gets me down, it bums me out, it puts me in a bad mood. Like some cases are okay, like Joe Exotic, that was fine. Like we were talking about the Tiger King and floral shirts and Carol Baskin. I'm fully in for that. Even when we done like the smiley face killers, because it wasn't really a case, that's fine. But when we do stuff that's really tough, like when we done the Uvalde school shooting and we done Jeffrey Dahmer, like that stuff really hurts. And I can honestly say this is the worst case I've ever had to investigate. So bad that I pushed our recording a week because I just wasn't.
You did.
I sat there and looked at what I had and just went, I'm not ready. I can't face this. So I pushed it back a week. There's
Yeah.
no video package for this episode either, because quite honestly, I didn't want to glorify them in any way, shape, or form
Yeah.
because they do not deserve it.
No. 100%. But it is always not intriguing to me, but that the true crime affects you that way. But I think it has something to do with your past, right? It has something to do with the fact that you kind of lived a true crime scenario. So I think for you, you do have that PTSD sort of thing where when you read about these cases, even though most of these people they're dead, they're
Yeah.
dead or buried in jail, right? They're not going to get you. I guess it didn't affect you personally, but it does affect you personally. So just saying that for
Yeah.
the listeners or any new listeners that we might get, that you've had something traumatic happen in your past as a child. And so it makes sense that this is like, I think, a way to cope with it, but it's
Yeah.
hard for you to do it.
Yeah. This case was so hard that
Yeah.
this is a one and done.
Yeah. Oh,
There's
yeah.
no way
100%.
I can talk about this for 2 episodes. A next episode, we're going to do kind of a recap. We're going to go back over all the cases we've done
Mhm.
before. Me and Heather are going to go dig into those cases again and bring
Yeah.
you any updates and new stuff that might
Yeah.
be hanging. That being said, shall we get into this case?
We're going to get into it so we can get it done.
Okay. Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris, otherwise known as the Toolbox Killers, are serial killers and rapists convicting of kidnapping, raping, and torture of 5 teenage girls in California over a 5-month span in 1979.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with some good news. Both of these guys are dead.
Okay, but let me just add to that. They are both dead. That's great. But they both got to live to be very old and died of natural causes. I know we're going to get to that. I'm not trying to spoil it. Spoiler warning, but obviously it's a bunch of bullshit and it makes you wonder like they still got to live to be like almost 80 years old or whatever. So it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's really fucked up, and we'll definitely talk about that when we get to it. But they did not deserve to have a long life after their.
No.
The things they done, we're going to go through them, but oh my god, like when I was reading it, I was like, it starts off not too bad, and then like, as they progress, I'm going, how could you actually do this to another person? And like when you look at cases like, for example, Ted Bundy, I understood what he'd done because I understood his motivations. I didn't condone it, but I could wrap my head around it. And Jeffrey Dahmer, I could wrap my head. These two, there is no logic. That I don't believe in pure evil, but these two are pure evil.
No, they were bad people. I think again, and we won't sit on it for very long, but it's the topic that comes up often on the show is like, are you born evil or is evil created out of a systematic kind of environment like you grow up? I think it's a little bit of both, nature versus nurture, psychology, but I do think that sometimes people when they're born, you can't control your genetics and you are wired the way that you are, and sometimes it's just for the bad, for the worst for people. So
yeah, and these like I've never bought into that as much as I've bought into it for this case because there's no
wait.
Yeah, I'm getting there. We always look at the background of serial killers to try and get an understanding of what may have brought them to where they are. We're going to start with Bittaker. So he was born to parents who didn't want him. He was 100% an unwanted child, and he was given up for adoption as a baby. His adopted family, everything I can find, were normal, really nice. His dad worked in the aviation industry, and because of that, they moved around a lot, a little bit like an army family. They get stationed.
Because the aviation, it was probably something to do with the army. I don't think I ever really read that part, but I do believe it'd probably be kind of the same thing. But yeah, it's back then. I mean, fostering could be good or bad, and he got lucky to get into a family that does seem to have wanted him.
Yeah, he seemed to be really wanted. By age 12, he had a criminal record, petty theft, nothing major, nothing that lots of teenagers haven't done. He had an IQ of 138, which is
Yeah, fucking
pretty,
smart. Like that's
yeah,
ridiculous. I know. And that but also that's not extremely uncommon for a serial killers.
yeah.
I
He
mean,
dropped out of
it's,
high school though,
you know,
which
yeah.
surprised me. Like someone with that higher IQ, had he stuck with it, his life could have
Mm,
been so different, possibly.
yeah.
You're not sold on
Maybe.
that.
No, I'm not, because I think that we're already getting into the psychology aspect of it, of where you're like, okay, yeah, he was adopted by this wonderful family and they really did seem to want him and he was super smart. But I'm going to tell you right now, none of that mattered. That was, look, it was like damaged goods, as bad as I hate to say that, because he has abandonment issues.
Yeah.
That is why okay. And you also said, at 12 years old people are doing, yeah, kids get in trouble, like they be bad, but I have no fucking criminal record at age 12, and most kids don't. Like, yeah, you do petty shit, but you ain't getting arrested.
I
And so
did.
that's my thing. Well, that makes sense. you do have a little you do have a little trauma behind your ears, so that kind of
Yeah.
makes sense. But I'm saying the average child doesn't get arrested. They might do
No.
stupid shit, okay? But
Yeah.
we're already seeing the progression of him. He has abandonment issues. I'm pretty sure he knew. I didn't read this in research, or maybe I missed it, but I'm pretty sure he knew he was adopted.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, it wasn't a secret.
Okay, exactly. So that you have to think about how a child would comprehend that resentment. Why wasn't I wanted? Why did they not want me? It's stuff like that. And like puberty at 12, you got
Yeah.
hormones. Look, I could go on for days, but anyway, let's continue. Just saying.
Within a year of dropping out, he'd been arrested for car theft, hit and run, and evading arrest. So it's a big jump up.
Yeah.
This led to him being incarcerated until he was 18.
Mhm.
This happened when he was 17, so he served a year. On release, he discovered his adopted parents had basically disowned him and moved to another state.
Mm.
So they'd obviously had enough of his bullshit and just
Well,
moved away.
yeah. I mean, at that different time era, just, yeah, also he was already becoming an adult, and I'm sure that it's like some people are like, oh, we can't save him. And look, mental illness and things like that were shit on back then. They would just be like, go lay
Yeah.
down. Like, it wasn't a thing to be saying that you had anxiety or all this PTSD and all this bullshit, right?
Yeah.
It
It
was like
just get
it
on
was
with it.
like, grow up, get over it.
Yeah.
And I hate that expression. But anyways, that's how it was. And they were probably like, fuck this. Like, we're leaving.
Yeah, which is exactly what they did. Norris, on the other hand, his childhood was far worse by
Oh
comparison,
yeah.
in my opinion. So
Yeah.
he was born out of wedlock, and his parents married because the stigma that having a baby out of wedlock at the time, it wasn't really the done thing. His dad was a scrapyard worker, and his mother was a drug addict.
Mm,
He didn't live
yeah.
with them very much. He spent a lot of time in foster care because
Yep.
he would be repeatedly taken away from them. He had a rough run through the foster system. He spoke about being neglected by families, denied food, claims that he was sexually assaulted at several different foster
Yeah.
homes that he had. He had issues. At age 16, he went to see a female family member who was in her 20s. And long
Hmm.
and short of it, he offered to have sex with her. She said no. And the dad then threatened to beat him. That evening, he stole his dad's car and drove up into the mountains and tried to kill himself by injecting air into his veins. Uh, he
Okay.
didn't succeed, but he was found
No.
later by police, and he was returned home.
Yeah.
When he got dropped off home, his parents confronted him and said, "We didn't want you. We are getting a divorce. You're on your own."
I
A
mean, you
year
have to
later,
think about that. I can't
yeah,
even imagine saying that to a child. Like, regardless if
yeah,
why? You know how you get pregnant. Okay. This is my little PSA in the middle of this. Like, if you don't want a baby, that's okay. And that's your choice. But, like, and if you want to be promiscuous, that's also okay. And that's your choice. But let's not use that as a crutch and be like, Oh, I don't know how I got pregnant. Yeah, you do. Like you put the P in the V and you get a B. Okay?
Yeah,
That's how it happens.
how it happens is you go, huh, tuh, spit on that thing.
I have I just saw that and I was like, is that my neighbor? Like I don't that's that she's from the South, obviously.
She is from the South, and it turns out her dad is a pastor as well.
Of course. Yeah, you don't know shit about shit when you like live here. Like I dated a pastor's son or a preacher's son when I was like a middle teenager. And they bad as fuck. Bad.
Yeah.
Like they trying to do all the nasty shit. Like oh, like I was like, no, God is in my holy temple. Get away from me. But anyway, literally, they're bad. So, yes, spit on it. I guess if you want to, but also don't. Because if you fucking spit on me, I'm going to be pissed off. Bye.
Yeah. A year later, he dropped out of high school and he joined
Yeah.
the US Navy. He was stationed in San Diego. In 1969, he done a 4-month deployment in Vietnam, but he didn't see any active combat on that tour. He was basically just stationed there.
Yeah.
Now, these two wonderful people met in prison. No surprise
Well,
to
yeah. I
anyone.
mean,
They
yeah.
were serving time in the California Men's Colony, which is the dumbest name for a prison. It sounds like a cult.
I mean, yeah, it just sounds like made up. Like when I saw that, I was like, what is that? Is it like maybe more of like a halfway house type situation, but it was a jail. So
Yeah,
I don't
when
know
I was
anything about California, so I don't know.
when I was reading on it, I thought it was like some sort of commune. They joined a commune and they met there. And
Yeah.
like the more I read, I was like, oh no, wait, that was a prison. They were
Yeah.
both serving time. Like,
Yeah.
So Norris was serving a sentence for the rape of a girl who he dragged into the bushes and
Mhm.
done what he done. Bitka was there for attempted murder of a supermarket employee who accused him of stealing, so he stabbed him.
Yeah.
They are
I
bad.
mean, intrusive thoughts are one thing. Most people don't act on them. Sometimes I be at the grocery store, Scott, and I'm like, I'm gonna stab this old bitch if she don't move her buggy. But like, I'm not actually going to. I would actually never do that. But like, intrusive thoughts, we all have them, and they're healthy to a point. Don't actually stab
Yeah.
anyone because don't do that.
No, that's bad. When they first met, these two didn't really talk to each other. They were more acquaintances than anything else. And
Yeah.
over time, they started to build a bond. And Norris taught Bitka how to make jewelry that he sold within the prison. In
Mm-hmm.
1978, Norris was having issues with other inmates that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they were coming to get him, and Bitka saved him from attack multiple times, and this kind of cemented them as friends. And this is what got them really talking. And they discovered they
Yeah.
both had shared interests in
I
sexual
bet.
violence and being misogynistic.
Well, they had similar backgrounds to an extent, and you have to think that people trauma bond. Okay,
Yeah,
they sometimes it's like, oh, this happened to you, this happened to you, and then this happened to me, and it like we all kind of you bond, but it's not a healthy way of bonding
no, it's
because they weren't in a therapy group, right? It's like you're in jail and you're bonding over the fact that you like to do sadistic, sexual, torturous things to women.
yeah, and this is where
Yeah,
they come up with a plan. So they come up with a scheme to assault and murder one teenage girl for every age between 13 and 19.
so
And they
disgusting.
decided that when they were both out, they would meet up and they would make this plan a reality. Why? Like,
I mean,
how?
but that's the thing. It's the sadistic nature of it. It's like, God, maybe I should have finished my degree in psychology because I have an associate's, but I didn't go much further than that. It's hard as fuck to do that as a degree, but honestly, people's minds are like on a spectrum. It's just like sexuality. It's on a spectrum. So you like you hear everything, right? So you just don't know, and it makes you wonder: did they just want sexual gratification, and were they pedophilic? Possibly, but they wanted to actually murder. So this goes
Yeah,
further than just saying, "Oh, I want sexual gratification from a child," which is beyond repulsive. Go
yeah.
go die. for real. But then they were like, no, this is what we're going to do. We are, and I'm not laughing because it's funny, but it's like, we're going to murder these people. So they didn't want to just do that. They wanted to murder them. So
Yeah, it's
there's a lot more going on.
yeah, I don't know where they are on the spectrum, but they need to stay there and not go near anyone
Well, they're
ever.
dead now, so they're in the dirt spectrum. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Bitka got out first in October 1978, and he moved back to LA. He was a skilled machinist, which is something he learned in prison.
Yeah.
He was well thought of in the community. He would give food to the homeless and generally helped out anyone who needed help. He was also popular amongst the local teens because the motel room he had, he would let them come and get high and drink beer. In his own admission, he said he knew he was only popular because he always had weed and beer.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like, have you not seen a picture of them?
Yeah,
Also, late 70s, the men weren't giving; they were
no,
giving "Run Away from Me" immediately.
yeah,
And mustaches, they're coming back. I'm sorry, we're trying to get into stuff, and I keep interrupting you, but like mustaches are coming back, and unless you're Tom Selleck, get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
The mustache.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
It's weird. Anyway,
we all knew that guy growing up, the guy who was in
yeah.
his 20s, 30s, who'd always be surrounded by teenagers because he'd give them drink and drugs. That those guys genuinely exist.
I don't want to really say this, but like my dad was low key kind of like that. Now, he did not hang out with teenagers. He wasn't like that, but he always smoked weed. It just is what it is. But he would definitely be the type to be like, "Oh, you're not quite 21? I'll get you some beer." Like my dad had some issues. But anyway, he wasn't a creepo. Like he wasn't like that, but definitely one of those like stoner dudes that was just like, "Sure, I got beer at my house or weed." Like, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference between being the stoner guy who gives out a couple of beers and a joint to
Yeah. He
being what
wasn't a
these two
weirdo
were.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
3 months after this, Norris was released. Now, within a month of being out, he was accused of rape, but there was a lack of evidence, so nothing could stick.
Yeah.
And it was around this time he got a letter from Bittaker, and in February, the two met up to put together their rape and murder plan. Now, financed by Norris, because Norris had a bit of money because he'd been out a little bit and he'd got
Yeah.
some money behind him. Bittaker bought a 1977 GMC Ventura. And if you don't know what that is, it's the van from the A-Team, just in silver.
Yes.
They were very specific when they chose this. They wanted something that had no back windows, a sliding door, so girls could easily be dragged in the
Yeah.
side. They
Yeah.
nicknamed this van the Murder Mac.
It's like, what the fuck ever. There's no comment. You can't really make a comment off of that because it's just gross already.
Yeah.
That they're putting this plan out. Like, how can two humans be like, we're fixing to do this?
The thing is, like, they were super organized. So they planned everything. And we've seen serial killers tend to start off quite well planned and then things fall apart, which happens to these two. But their organization at the beginning, their impulse control, given how violent they get, was actually really shocking to me. So they spent from February to early June picking up girls and giving lifts, and they didn't assault any of these girls or were untoward in any way. They apparently picked up between 20 and 30 hitchhikers, and they'd done it as a way to practice different techniques to get them in the van without having to use violence or physically drag them in. And like it boggled my mind that these guys are so violent and so desperate to do these horrible acts, but they had a 5-month period where they'd done nothing and they just plotted and schemed, which makes it worse.
It's practicing because I should have taken more notes on this or got more into this. I didn't know that this would hit this particular subject, but you have your process and then you have your product killers. And if my mind serves me right, they would be more of a process killers because it was a whole like process of how they did this stuff. Like you
Yeah.
said, they practiced. They had all these women or these girls, that they would pick up, but they did not murder them.
Yeah.
They were just
literally
like, "Oh,
gave
we're
them.
going to use you as practice." And you have to think about it. Can you imagine the trauma that these poor girls had when they found out these two people that picked us up, they murdered these other girls, and we could have been like, this is the thing. You have your victims, and our hearts always go out to the victims and their families 100%. But then you have the people that are the potential could have been victims
Yeah.
who they don't talk about. No one talks about these people. They don't give them any type of like console. They don't console them, I mean. And so it's like, think about
Yeah.
that. Some of them may have not
Survivor's
even
guilt.
known, or yeah, but still some of them may have not known or cared. But the point is, PSA
Yeah.
again. Don't fucking hitchhike. Don't get in anybody's goddamn van. Don't get in anybody's fucking car, truck. I don't care. Walk. Don't be doing that shit.
Yeah.
Don't.
We've said every single case that's set in the 70s, we have said do not hitchhike, because the 70s was like the hitchhiking decade. Everyone hitchhiked in the
Yeah.
70s.
Everybody hitchhike. I can't. It don't even sound right. Anyway, don't do that. Don't do this. They always put their thumb out, right? Like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, are
Yeah.
you extra like pick me up? I get it. It was a 70s thing. I mean, we've all seen the movies about it. Sometimes you ended up being fine.
Yeah.
Don't do that shit now, because your chances of it being murdered are probably way more now than they were then.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
do you know why there's not as many serial killers hit the news now? It's because we can't fucking catch them.
No. And also, you have technology, you have a lot of other things, and you also have all of the history of all these former serial killers that,
Yeah.
if you're a real legit serial killer, you can literally do your homework.
Yeah.
They will
There's
get caught though, Scott. I don't believe it for one thing. I know that sometimes things they take forever, but I do feel at some point they will get caught because we have technology too. Well, not we, us, but like the police, FBI, they have the technology now to be able to possibly track these people better.
Yeah, I read an article the other day where they reckon there's up to 20 active serial killers in the United States,
Yeah.
and there's up
Yeah,
to
it's fucking
5
scary.
active serial killers in the UK. The UK's tiny. We
Ugh.
got 5. How the fuck have we got 5? Ugh.
I don't know, but
No.
I'm gonna fucking. I swear to God, I would rather live there because like there's so much crazy shit that happens here, and you guys might be tiny and eat beans on toast, which I'm not going to eat. That sounds disgusting.
It's
But
good. You need to
hey,
try it.
no, I'm not. But anyways, I'm just saying, stay where you're at. Never live here. Come visit, but go the fuck back home.
These two also fitted the back of their van out with a bed, and underneath that they had
Mhm.
the tools that they would use to torture people, and they had a
Yeah.
cooler as well with beers and soft drinks, because hey, who doesn't want to drink when they're going to
I mean,
do?
you need to hydrate when you murder, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Do you know what? I'm calling it early. I think we're going to take a break now.
We'll take a break.
Yeah. When you finish checking out this episode, why not check out the Girl and the Gay podcast, a film and TV review podcast hosted by Jay and Becky. This show is highly entertaining with deep dives into all of your favourite TV shows, movies and more. Also available on the You Run Podcast Network. The Ghoulish Gallery, hosted by Tasha. This is a show like no other, talking about cryptids and monsters and Bigfoot. If it's a myth and if it's a monster, it appears on this show. With regular guests sharing their experiences with these monsters, this is a must-listen podcast. So head over to You Run Podcast today and go and check them out. That break was not nearly long enough because I'm not ready for what's about to come.
Yeah, you're going to get into the disturbing stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, make sure you go and check out the other shows on yourunpodcast.com.
Yes.
While you're there, there's also our merch shop where you can get Heather, which we now need to update because she's got short hair now.
Look, I have short hair. I always joke around because I look like actually look a lot like my dad. So I'm like, I am this cutest little boy girl you'll ever see. Uh, but I do like my hair short. So you guys hopefully leave some comments and tell me if you like my hair short. If you're gonna be fucking mean, kiss my fucking asshole and don't leave me a comment like that. Dan the movie buff, I still remember you, motherfucker. I hope you're listening to this. You're rude as fuck. You remember him. He was so rude. But he called me ugly. Like,
He did.
I don't even know the dude.
He did. He regretted it shortly after.
Yeah, he
But
did
he
because he
did.
tried to suck up and message me. But anyways, I'm just saying, like, I like my short hair. I'm happy that it's short. It's hot here and it's low maintenance, and I don't give a shit. I don't
Yeah.
care anyway.
So yeah, tell Heather her hair looks good, and pass comment on my beard because I'm growing it out. I'm going for
Yeah,
like the
what are you
full
doing? I was going to ask you that. I know we got to get on with the show, but like, I wanted to ask you that. Like, are you trying to go Rob Zombie Woolly Booger, or are we just trying to get it
Uh,
thick?
it's going to stay like this till I finish filming a film, and then it will
Okay.
go back to stubble. This is for my next movie.
I'm partial to beards, so just saying, my husband has a beard, but his beard one time looked like Al Qaeda. Anyways, let's continue. I had to check. Are you? I have to make you laugh. I have to make you laugh. We have to lighten up. I know we're fixing to get into the heavy stuff, and I feel bad
Oh,
for you. So there you
okay.
go.
Thank you. You've broken me. Right, let's get into this.
Let's do
On the
it.
24th of June, 1979, Bittaker and Norris would go out at 11 o'clock in the morning, and they headed
Yeah.
down to the beach where they drank beer and smoked weed and chatted up girls and done normal stuff
Yeah.
until around 7:45 that evening, where Norris spotted Lucinda Lynn Schaefer, who was 16, and he commented, "There's a cute little blonde." Now, they approached her and they tried several of the methods that they'd practiced to get her into the van, and she was not having any of it. She's like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm leaving. I've just left church. I'm on my way home. Fuck you guys. Thanks a lot." So they drove up the road past her, and then they parked further down the road. When she
Yeah.
walked past, Norris would drag her into the back of the van. Now, Bittaker blasted the radio to hide the screams, to muffle the
The
noise.
screaming. Yeah.
And Norris bound her hands and legs and gagged her with duct tape. Once they had her subdued, they drove up to the mountains. So when they were doing all their prep work, they'd found a mountain road with a gate that had a padlock.
Yeah.
And after a couple of months, they realized that no one went through that gate. So they cut the padlock and put their own on. So they had their own locked off, effectively secured area in the mountains.
Yeah.
And that's where they went. Now, in his interview, Bittaker stated that Lucinda displayed magnificent state of self-control and composed acceptance of her conditions, of which she had no control. She shed no tears, offered no resistance, and expressed no great concern for her safety. I guess she knew what was coming.
That's horrible. That literally gives me chills and makes me sad because I know how I am. And if someone, God forbid, me, my daughter, anyone that I know at all, but if someone were trying to attack me, I am going to act as insane and I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm talking about shit. I will bite you. I know it sounds crazy, but like legit fucking bite them because you know what that means? If you can get away, that's DNA. That's DNA. They're going to, they'll know. Like,
and
they can find stuff, right?
My advice to anyone who ever gets kidnapped, like in this sort of scenario,
please,
if there's a chance that you're not going to make it and you're not going to make it, don't accept it. Fight to the end. Bite, scrap,
because it's
hit.
because
Yeah.
I have literal chills, you guys. Like I have literal chills because I teach my daughter because she's 21, and it's one of those things that the world we live in that she works in retail and has to leave at night sometimes. Now she does have a male person bring her out, and she does have pepper spray in her keychain, so she is doing preventative things. I'm still like, don't be on your cell phone. PSA again, you guys, pay attention to your surroundings, male or female. I'm going to go ahead and say, especially females, pay attention to your surroundings. Stop, get off your phone, get to your
Yeah.
car, have your keys. Always have that key sticking up. Hold those keys tight because you know what? You can jab somebody in the fucking eyeball. I'm just saying, you have to be very vigilant. And it's sad
Yeah.
that we have to live in a world like this. But anyways, let's continue. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
All the
you don't ever apologize for butting in. That's what you do.
Well,
That's
I
what we
know,
do.
but it's like it's just one of those things that as a mom, I fucking worry about this shit all the time. And, you know, I think about like when I have Campbell in the car seat, like in the buggy,
Yeah.
like I always strap him in, even though those straps are nasty. Like I spray them down, but I'm like, you know what? If I turned my back for a second and someone tried to pick him up, they couldn't just automatically pick him up. It would take
Yeah.
a second, right? That'll
Yeah,
save my
which is
child.
exactly. It's enough time for you to
Yeah.
react.
Yeah. Anyway.
Norris told Bitka to take a walk for an hour, and while he was gone, he raped Lucinda. And on his return, they swapped over, and they repeated the process.
Yeah.
After they'd finished, they decided it was time to kill her. Lucinda asked for a moment to pray. Now, Norris attempted to manually strangle her, but it was too much for him, and he couldn't do it, and he went and threw up by the van. So Bitka finished the job. After he choked her to the point she passed out, he wrapped a coat hanger around her neck and tightened it with a pair of pliers till she died.
God, it's disgusting.
They threw her body over the edge of a canyon wrapped in a shower curtain, and Bitka told Norris the animals would dispose of her. At no point did they grant her a wish to be able to pray before they killed her.
See, this, my God, like I get it. I'm not gonna go on a tangent about religion. I am not a religious person per se. My husband is a little bit more on the religious spectrum, but that's okay. That's fine. I don't make fun of anyone that believes what they believe. If that's fine, if you have this or that, you can do whatever you want. I'm just more spiritual. I don't necessarily think there isn't a God, but I'm not like gun ho. If does that make sense? Like I'm sort of like, you always I have questions because it's just like we don't actually really know. And this is why it's called hope or faith, right? You have to rely on that. My thing is that makes me sad because that little girl, that's what she believed in.
Mm-hmm.
She believed in like I'm gonna pray. Yeah, that's what she wanted. And it's like it's just disgusting. It just makes me feel horrible.
Yeah, me as well. 2 weeks after their first killing, the two came across Andrea Joy Hall, who was 18. She was hitchhiking, but when they tried to pick her up, she actually got a lift from someone else. Basically they were there and someone else pulled up and she took the lift, I'm assuming with the less sketchy looking guy or girl than these two clowns.
I know you don't judge a book by its cover, but
yeah, with these two you should. These two followed that other vehicle until it dropped her off, and then they offered her a soft drink. Like, do you want a cold drink? Like, we're going this way, or we saw you stop. Do you want a drink? You can have a drink. And she accepted. When she got to the back of the truck, she was forced in. Norris pounced on her, having been hidden inside. He bound her hands and feet and gagged her mouth, exactly how he did with Lucinda. Again, they took her to the mountains where they both raped her twice. There was one point where they thought they saw headlights coming up the track, so they moved deeper into the woods to a second location. This is where Bitka made her walk up a hill naked and perform oral sex on him next to a road. They then took her to a third location, and it was around this time that Norris went to get beer because they'd run out of beer. When Norris returned, he found that Bitka had taken several Polaroids and was gloating that her expression in the photos was sheer fear. He told Norris that he was going to kill her, and he asked. So he had already killed her at this point. And he told Norris, "Oh, I was going to kill her," and then I asked her to give me as many reasons as she could why I should spare her, and why she was pleading her case. I hit her in the side of the head, in her ear, with a pickaxe. He then turned her over and hit her in the other ear with a pickaxe, stomping on the handle so hard that it broke. He then strangled her before throwing her body off a cliff. That's a big
it's a total
escalation.
disregard. Yeah, it seems like already with their second victim, they're already it's getting a little worse. It's getting a
Yeah.
little more sadistic. You're getting a little bit more into the I don't know. My thing is like because we're not in the minds of these people,
I don't want
and
to
we
be in the
could
minds of
never
these
think
people.
that.
No.
No, never. I don't either. As much as I love true crime, I don't want to be in the mind of it. I think I want to try to figure out why. But it's like to sexually assault and rape a woman, and then your other guy's right there, and he does the same thing. It's like, how do you keep this is not meant to be funny at all. How do you keep an erection? That's disgusting. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you that you're saying?
Yeah.
How can that turn you on? I think is what I'm saying is like she's
Yeah.
screaming, right? That's not. But
Yeah.
again, it's a sexual gratification for them.
Yeah. And
It's so gross. I hate that.
it's horrid. On the 3rd of September, Jackie Doris Gillum, who was 15, and Jacqueline
Mhm.
Lee Lamp, who was 13, were hitchhiking, and they voluntarily got into the van and were offered weed, which again that they took. They said they were going to give the girls a lift home, and the girls started to get suspicious when they strayed off the main road and onto their
Yeah.
mountain path. Jacqueline tried to open the door, but she was struck on the head by Norris with a bag filled with weights. This knocked her unconscious. He then subdued Jackie, binding her how he had with the previous two victims. Jacqueline regained consciousness and she got out of the van. Now, Norris went in pursuit and tried to drag her back. Bitka got out of the van, stopped the van, got out of the van, and punched her in the face to make her compliant. This all happened in front of several witnesses who didn't interfere or report it to the police, which
I
is
don't
the
understand
most
that. How do
horrific
you?
behavior. Like, I get there's an element of people don't want to get involved, but if you see two fully grown
No.
men dragging a girl into a van,
You fucking. I'm gonna tell you. Look, I don't want to die this way, but I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't, with my little 5'2" self, be getting up. I'd be trying to save that
yeah,
person.
100%.
That's just me, though. That's my personality. Like, I have children. I don't want to die like lose my children. But I'm the type of person that if I see someone struggling, I'm going to try to help them.
Yeah, and my mindset is if that was my child, I would want someone to help them. So if I see someone else,
Exactly.
I'm gonna get involved. And
Yes.
if nothing else, give her enough time that she can get away from them and start to run away. Whatever it is, I'm not going to watch two fully grown men drag a 13-year-old girl into a van. It's just not going to happen.
No, because it's just called being a fucking human, a decent human being. I understand that you don't want your life to be on the line, but it's a fucking child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The girls were taken to the mountains where they were held for 2 days. They were repeatedly raped, photographed, and even audio recorded.
Yeah.
Bitka also tortured Jackie, stabbing her in the breast with a pickaxe and using pliers on her nipples, so much so that he tore part of one of them off.
We'll just skip. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's you guys can read the gory details. It's not good.
Yeah, Jackie was killed with a pickaxe to the ear, followed by strangulation, and Jacqueline was struck on the head with a sledgehammer. They thought they'd killed her, but she opened her eyes, so Norris repeatedly hit her in the head with the sledgehammer as Bitka strangled her. Their bodies were thrown over an embankment into shrubland. Like,
It's very similar to Ted Bundy's style, though. Like with the mountains and the way he would take the victims. They had found a head. Sorry, I'm stuttering. They found like a skull and stuff. So it's like, but I think that's like just a late 70s serial killer trope. It just kind of seems like they all kind of copied each other to an extent.
But there's this is where I really struggle. So the whole torture bit is the bit that I struggle the most with, because when you're torturing someone who is alive, they are in agony, and to take any gratification to see someone else in pain like that, I can't wrap my head around it, because I don't have that in me. I don't understand how anyone could see that as an enjoyment.
because you're on a different psychological level than that person. We as most normal people, okay, are gonna look at a person and like you said, if there's it's struggling or in pain or something, they're gonna want to help,
Yeah.
but they're not going to want to be the cause of the pain. But these two men were, that's not in their mind. Actually, I think, excuse me, was it Norris who had the schizoid personality disorder? Like
Yeah.
he was already like had it's already there. So someone that is schizophrenic, it would be typical that they have to be on watch. They need to be medicated, et cetera, et cetera. Doesn't mean that if you have schizophrenia, I'm not saying this because you can live a normal life and not be harmful to others. But that
Yeah.
was not the reason why he was harmful. That was just a personality disorder that led to him to make these decisions. And he was unmedicated. He wasn't doing anything. And then he drank, did drugs. You have to think it's a vicious cocktail type thing
Yeah.
situation. So
And with someone who's got the similar mindset to him, they kind of egged each other on.
exactly.
They built this kind of
They played off of each other because it was like one may have been more sadistic than the other, but what
yeah,
he lacked, the other one picked up. I mean, it's not something to don't gloat about that, but that is what happened.
yeah. I don't know how all of you at home are getting on with this case, how you're coping with it. I'm going to give you a further warning. What you're about to hear is possibly the most horrific accounts of rape and torture that I've ever encountered. And
Yeah.
the next bit is going to be hard to listen to. If you're
Yeah.
struggling, maybe take a break and come back to
Take a
this
break.
episode,
Yep.
or pour yourself a stiff drink or whatever you need to get through it if you
Yeah.
want to hear it. On Halloween night 1979, Bittaker and Norris would abduct their final victim, Shirley Lynette Ledford, who was 16. She was
Yeah.
hitchhiking back from a Halloween party. As before, they lured her into the van, this time by offering her a lift, and they quickly bound and gagged her. For the next 2 hours, Norris would drive around while Bittaker tormented and tortured Shirley in the back of the van. He slapped her, mocked her, punched her repeatedly in the face and the breast to make her scream. When she begged for him not to touch her, he hit her with a hammer and beat her breast with his fist, telling her to scream as loud as she wanted. During this ordeal, he also used pliers to torture her, raped her, and sodomized her. He recorded the audio of this attack, which thankfully is confined to an FBI case file. After some time had passed, they swapped places, with Bittaker driving and Norris in the back. Norris demanded that she screamed or he would make her scream. She replied, "If you stop hitting me, I'll scream." And he did, and she screamed. He stopped her from screaming because it wasn't real, and he picked up a sledgehammer. On the recording, it can be heard Shirley saying, "Please no," as he hit her elbow with the sledgehammer. As she pleaded for him not to do it again, he hit her a further 25 times on the same elbow. When he stopped, she was crying and he could be heard asking her what she's sniveling about. After 2 hours of torture and terror, Norris strangled her with a coat hanger, and the two of them disposed of her on a random front lawn as they wanted to gauge the reaction of the press. Her body was discovered the following morning by a jogger. At trial, Bittaker argued that the audio tape depicted nothing more than a consensual threesome, despite hearing Shirley screaming for the two to kill her to end the pain. Like,
I have to
it's the most sadistic.
not cry because that literally is about like I have to literally almost pinch myself to make myself not cry because that I mean this is the thing. Every one of these young girls did not deserve to die. I don't care
No.
if they were hitchhiking. I don't care what anybody says. Like it that doesn't just because you make a mistake or do something a little careless, does not mean you deserve punishment for it.
No. And these girls
And the
didn't do
fact
anything.
that no, they didn't do anything. I mean, it was the fucking 70s. People did shit like that. And they were a lot more trusting. I get that. It's unfortunate, but these guys are so sadistic and sick that they wouldn't just fucking grant them the fucking just kill them.
Yeah, or just
I mean, I didn't want them to die, of course, but it's like you didn't even give them the grace. You just fucking tortured them. My thing is like, would it have been easier if they would have just murdered them right then? Maybe put them out of their misery.
yeah,
I
which
know that would have
again,
been me. I've been like, shoot me in the head. Just
yeah,
kill me. Just kill me. I don't want to be
which,
tortured.
which again is why we say if you get in a situation like this, fight, kick, scream. Don't give them a choice. You've got two options. If you're fighting, you're either getting out of the van or you're going to
Right.
die. But you're
Well,
not
I
going to
mean,
get
die with
this.
a with fight. Like,
Yeah,
what are you going to lose at that point?
yeah. You're
They
not
were
going to get
fucking old.
tortured.
Kick them in the fucking
Yeah.
face. Like, I'm just saying.
Despite how planned and organized these two horrific individuals were, they got caught the same way all serial killers seem to get caught, through their own fucking stupidity.
Oh yeah.
Norris was friends with another convict that he knew from prison called Joseph
Yeah.
Jackson. November 1979, he told Joseph about all the things that they had done and all the plans they had of what they were going to do in the future.
Yeah.
He also confessed that they'd raped several other girls that they'd released.
Yeah.
And Joseph Jackson, I give the man his due, he spoke to his attorney who said, go to the police, and he did. Police began to investigate, and they worked out that it all tied into missing girls over the past 5 months, and there were several accusations of rapes. Now, one of these allegations come from a girl called Robin Roebuck, who had been maced, dragged into a van, and raped by two men. Now, when they knew who these two guys were, they brought Robin back in and they put a selection of photographs out, and she, without hesitation, picked out both of them because they're not faces you're going to forget.
No, absolutely.
They were arrested and police searched their home. They found Polaroids, they found jewelry of some of the victims. They searched the van and found even more jewelry and all the murder and torture items. They also found an audio recording of Shirley's torture, rape, and murder. Now, in the process of the investigation, Norris agreed to return to the mountains with investigators to find the bodies. They discovered 3 of the victims, but they never found the bodies of Lucinda or Andrea, whose bodies had never recovered. We don't really do trials, but I'm going to give you a brief. I'll give you a brief overview.
Yeah.
They both confessed. Norris entered a plea agreement that he would get life imprisonment as opposed to the death penalty if he flipped on Bittaker, which he did. Bittaker was sentenced in March of 1981. He got the death penalty, but he died of natural causes in 2019.
Yeah.
He never showed any remorse for his crimes. Never.
No. I mean, like, why the fuck would he?
The prosecutor in the case, I can't reiterate his statement anymore if I tried. I am upset that he beat the system. He died a natural death, and that's something his victims didn't have a chance for.
That's exactly how I feel about it. That's it. Like, it makes you wonder. Okay, I'm just going to go on this little tangent for a second. I think that is what makes people who maybe don't believe in God, etc.
Yeah.
I think that things like this make them question, why would God, and I'm doing that in quotations because everybody has a different perspective or ideal of God, but like, why would he let this happen? But I want to say this one little thing. I can see it from both sides, but also you do have to understand that if you're even a little bit religious and or know the Bible or any type of religion, it's called free will. Supposedly we are, this is the thing, not supposedly, excuse me, we're given free will. You have the choice. And so it's hard to think about it. Like, why couldn't the girls be saved? Why didn't God save them? The one that was super religious who wanted to pray and all this kind of stuff. So I'm not trying to get us into that spectrum, but this case does bring a lot of that to surface for anyone. If you're struggling with wondering, don't question yourself. It's just one of those things that you have to do more research on. And I still think it's fine to believe what you want to believe.
Yeah, but you're right. It is like,
it does.
If God is a thing, how come these two assholes lived a full life? I mean,
they were like 79 and 80 or 79 and 79, something like that, like almost 80. Like, that's fucking, like, I hope I live longer than that. Please. Whoever. Jesus or the devil, whatever. Like,
Yeah,
let me live a long time.
yeah.
Please. I have a
But
child.
like Norris's plea deal, he got life imprisonment. He died in 2020 of natural causes. How can someone
Yeah.
like that die of natural causes? It's I don't often say this, but it's not fair. These two also caused a further death from behind bars. So in December of 1987,
Hmm.
Paul Binham, who was the lead investigator of the case,
Yeah.
committed suicide at the age of 39.
It's very
It,
sad. I did not like finding that out when I was, because I knew
it
the surface level of these crimes, but I didn't know that until I
yeah,
read it.
it is heartbreaking. So he
It's bad.
detailed in his suicide note that the murders committed by Bittaker and Norris haunted his dreams, and he couldn't live with it. And the thought of them ever
Sad.
being released, because he knew they would come up, they would be eligible for parole, especially
At
Norris.
some, yeah, yeah.
He couldn't face it, and he ended his own life. Which,
It's terrible. You have to do a
yeah,
PSA, Scott. There, if you're struggling, you just have to know that things can get better, and you don't know that things will get better unless you live to see that things can get better, and they almost always do. And if you're struggling, reach out. You can DM me. You can DM
yeah,
Scott. You can. There's so much stigma around people having mental health issues, and they think that
people
they
care.
can't get help. Or I
Yeah,
care. I don't know if
I
I don't know you. I legitimately care because I have struggled with postpartum depression, suicidal thoughts. I did when I like that has happened to me. Not
yeah, and
recently, but it doesn't matter. Like we all go through struggles, and we need to be here to help each other. Like,
yeah,
let's help each other.
and don't ever think that, like, if you're like, oh, well, I can't really reach out to someone from a podcast. You can,
Yes, you can. You can
like,
talk to me like legit.
yeah, and me, and like, I don't know how much help I'll be
Yes.
able to give you, but I'll listen.
Doesn't matter. Some people just need to know that another person is there to listen to them and validate. Look, this is the thing with feelings. Your feelings are always valid, but your thoughts are not always valid. And sometimes your thoughts, make you have these feelings, vice
Yeah,
versa. And it's okay to feel down. But just remember, things can get better, and we want you to be here so that you can see the progression of that get better, because we all go through hard times, and we love you, and we don't want you to not be here on this earth.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
completely agree. Um, Now, the audio tape that I mentioned earlier that is sealed in an FBI file. After I've done some more digging, it's not sealed in
Hmm.
an FBI file. It's actually been put
No.
to good use, which shocks
Ah.
me. Um,
Hmm.
the FBI use this at the academy. So this is a training tool
Ugh.
to desensitize agents to the reality of torture and murder, and used as a motivational tool, because after they've listened
No.
to it, they are broken. And the FBI Training Academy says, if you don't want anyone else to go through this, you need to do your job well.
I mean, I get that. It seems a little barbaric to
It's
use
very
this
barbaric.
video. Right. Okay. Well, you said it, but I was
Mm.
thinking it.
Yeah.
But
It- it-
honestly, it's a little trite. Let's not trump. This is the thing. You get into the FBI field, you get into being a police officer, you already know you're going to deal with trauma. You already know that you're going to deal with things that, even though you have to take, I believe, like a psychological type test, like you have to
yeah.
pass all this stuff, right?
I
Even to
imagine
do anything.
this audio recording for new FBI recruits must be like a baptism of fire. This must break.
I've heard some serial killer audio stuff before. Now, I do not believe I have ever, I'm sure you can get access to it. Nothing is impossible. Let me just say that. I do not, because of the type of person I am. I can read about stuff, and I'm able to control my imagination a bit. But if I hear something, because I'm a visual like
Yeah.
type person,
I
I
couldn't hear
cannot.
this. No, I didn't
I'm
even
not going
look.
to listen to it. No, 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 no.
No.
That's the thing. I'm pretty positive that you can get access to it. I've listened to some audio, again, not from this specific case. Don't do it.
No. No.
No.
That's it for another case, and I'm going to be honest, I'm completely over the moon. This is wrapped in a
I'm
single
actually
episode.
glad for once. Can you believe that, Scott? I'm
Yeah.
actually excited that we're going to not talk about this anymore because
It's horrible.
it is horrible. And there's other cases that are they're just as bad. I know that you're like, oh God, fuck me for no. There are some, even a UK fellow
Yeah.
or a case
Oh,
that's in the
yeah.
UK.
We've got a few. We will
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
them, and we'll get through them.
You just
They're not
drink
being
you a
funny.
little extra drinky drinks.
Yeah, and you talked me through some of this case, like when I
Yeah,
messaged you going, I messaged you going, this is rough,
yeah.
and you're like, yeah, I know, it's really
It is,
bad.
it's okay though, but same goes to everyone. You know, if you ever need me, I'm here. Vice versa. Like this, we're podcast pals. We're actually real pals in real life, even though we don't live anywhere close to each other. We're still genuinely good friends, and it's one of those things where I know this shit's hard for you to do, and I appreciate you, but you know, at the end of the day, that like it is what it is, and it's a case, and it is sad, but I don't want it to consume you in that matter. That you
Yeah.
know, we need to continue the show. We need
Oh,
to keep Scott okay.
we definitely do.
Yeah.
But I can wholeheartedly say this is the worst we've done. Like the crimes these two
So
committed,
far.
just the things that someone done to another human being just broke me. And I'm thankful these disgusting people are dead. And I don't I
Yeah,
don't care.
100%.
I don't
Like,
care if people don't like the fact I'm saying that. These people do not
no,
deserve
I
to be
don't think
alive.
anybody's going to argue with you about that, Scott. And if they do, they can message me. Like, literally, no, you're
Yeah.
good.
Also, next time we are back, we are going to be giving updates on previous episodes. And I know there are
Yeah.
listeners now whose ears have just pricked up and gone, ooh. So we are going to be giving updates on Tupac Shakur,
Uh-huh.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard, some
Uh,
developments in some other cases as well. And there will be an update on Joe Exotic, the Tiger King.
Yeah. I'm curious about that because I don't know. We haven't discussed it a lot lately, like off the recording. I think I just hit my mic. Sorry. anyways, anyways, we haven't really discussed that, but like, and then the Tupac stuff, I've kind of hearsay, but like the Gypsy Rose stuff is so goddamn ridiculous, you guys. It's like, hello. I think we all knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a fun episode next time, a lot more lighthearted than this because
It won't. It's not going to be. No. We'll make jokes. It's going to be more like there's not going to be all this. It's going to be lighter. So grab you a cold drink and make sure you tune in.
Yeah, exactly that. And then next time after that, we'll go back to whatever horrific,
We'll
heinous,
see
horrible
what you
thing.
guys pick or whatever. Maybe we'll pull stuff that's a little. How can you make serial killers lighter?
I'm not sure. We'll find a way.
We'll see.
But until then, Heather, take us away.
Okay, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed listening to us, seeing our beautiful faces, especially my new haircut. Y'all know that shit look freaky fresh. Okay, but honestly, hold on a second. This is in honor of Mark. He has not passed away, but I needed to open my drink because we have a little something extra to do after this. But anyways, you guys, I am very excited that you've all tuned in listening to us. You've heard our PSAs. We love you. We're always here for you. We support you. If you need anything, please reach out to us. Never feel alone. But until next time, I want you guys to stay safe, stay spooky, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.
See you later.